Have you ever had nights like this? You fall asleep fairly easily, but then around 2 or 3 in the morning you wake up. Your body still feels tired, but your mind suddenly feels wide awake. You're not worried about anything in particular. Nothing especially stressful is going on. You just can't fall back asleep. If this sounds familiar, we want to say this clearly right from the start. You are not alone. And more importantly, there is nothing wrong with you. Many people are told this is just part of getting older, that as we age, sleep naturally gets worse and we're supposed to accept it. But the truth is, waking up in the middle of the night does not mean you're a light sleeper. And it's not because you're not trying hard enough. The problem isn't willpower. It's not in your thoughts. It runs deeper than that in the biological signals inside the brain, the signals that are meant to keep us asleep through the night. And in this video, we're going to talk about a very special natural spice, saffron. Not as a sleeping pill, but as a gentle way to help the body restore the right sleep signals so you can sleep more deeply and wake up less during the night. If you're interested in simple, practical health insights that truly make sense for people over 50, don't forget to subscribe to Strong Health Way. This channel was created to walk alongside you to share helpful knowledge and to support you in building a healthier, more energized life one step at a time. And now let's start with the most important question of all. Why do we so often wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning? Many people believe that waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. happens because they don't sleep deeply enough, because they think too much, or simply because of age. But the truth is, your brain is not randomly waking you up at that hour. It's responding to a biological signal that's out of sync. At night, two things are supposed to happen at the same time. First, melatonin needs to rise enough to keep the brain in a deep resting state. Second, cortisol, the alertness hormone, needs to fall. When these two signals work together, we're able to sleep continuously until morning. But for people who wake up during the night, this balance flips too early. Melatonin isn't strong enough to hold deep sleep, while cortisol rises too soon, almost as if the brain is being told it's time to wake up. What's important to understand is this: you are not worried about anything specific yet. Your brain switches into alert mode. Your heart rate may pick up slightly, your mind feels unusually clear, and even though your body is tired, sleep won't return. This isn't your fault. It's simply your brain receiving the wrong timing signal. So why does sleep become easier to interrupt as we get older? Once we pass the age of 50, the body begins to change in very subtle ways. Melatonin, the hormone that helps hold deep sleep, naturally declines with age, even in people who live healthy lifestyles. As a result, sleep becomes lighter and easier to interrupt by very small signals. At this stage of life, the brain also becomes more sensitive to mild stress, low-grade inflammation in the body, or even small emotional shifts during the day. Things that never bothered us before can now quietly signal the brain that it needs to stay alert. So when cortisol rises a little earlier than it should, the brain doesn't wait for morning. It wakes us up in the middle of the night, even though there's no real danger. This isn't a disease, and it's not an irreversible decline. It simply means the biological signals are no longer as well synchronized as they once were. And this is exactly why supporting the right hormones at the right time, especially melatonin, becomes so important. It's also why gentle natural approaches that work with the body's biology can make a meaningful difference in nighttime sleep. Saffron is not a sleeping pill, and here's why. You've probably heard people say saffron helps you sleep better. And yes, that sounds right, but it's not the full picture. And if we stop there, it's very easy to misunderstand what saffron actually does. Saffron is not a sleeping pill. It doesn't make you feel sleepy right away. It doesn't force your brain to shut off. And that's exactly why it's different and much safer. What saffron does is far more subtle. It helps the brain remember how to sleep the way our bodies used to do naturally when we were younger. At night, the brain needs a very clear signal that says, the day is over, there's no danger, there's nothing left to deal with. That signal comes from melatonin. But as we talked about earlier, over time, this signal becomes weaker and less clear, and the brain starts confusing night with daytime. This is where saffron helps. It supports and stabilizes the melatonin signal, not by forcing anything, but by gently reminding the brain, this is nighttime. Saffron also works on serotonin, the chemical that helps keep the mind calm and emotions steady. When serotonin is balanced, the quiet stress from the day doesn't carry over into the night. The brain no longer stays in high alert mode at 2 or 3 a.m. And most importantly, saffron doesn't make the brain lose control. It doesn't cause grogginess. It doesn't create dependence. It simply helps the nervous system step out of night watch mode so the body can naturally return to the rest rhythm it was designed to follow. How saffron helps with 3 common types of insomnia. When we talk about insomnia, many people assume everyone struggles with sleep in the same way. But in real life, that's not true at all. Not all insomnia is the same. And that's exactly why so many people try one thing after another and still don't see results. They're using one general solution for very different problems. What makes saffron special is that it doesn't focus on just one symptom. Instead, it supports the core signals that allow sleep to happen naturally and completely. That's why it can be helpful for several types of sleep issues that are very common after age 50. The first type is for people who fall asleep fairly easily, but then wake up in the middle of the night, often around 2 or 3 a.m. The body still feels tired, but sleep won't stay. In these cases, the problem isn't falling asleep. It's that melatonin isn't strong enough to hold deep sleep through the night. Saffron helps strengthen that nighttime signal. So once you're asleep, the brain can stay in a resting state longer instead of waking up halfway through. The second type is very familiar to many people. The mind suddenly feels wide awake. The heart isn't racing. There's no specific worry, but sleep just won't come back. This usually happens when serotonin isn't stable. Saffron helps calm the stream of thoughts and reduces that unnecessary alertness, so the brain no longer feels like it has to stand guard during the night. We've seen this clearly with people like Linda, who is 63. She shared that almost every night she would wake up around 3 a.m., not anxious, not panicked, just fully awake. After a few weeks of supporting her sleep with saffron, the right way, the first thing she noticed wasn't perfect sleep. Right away, it was that her mind wasn't sharply alert anymore. And from there, sleep began to return naturally. The third type is when sleep feels light and unrefreshing, and you wake up tired and heavy-headed, even though the total hours look fine on paper. The issue here is that sleep isn't reaching or staying in the deep restorative stage where the body actually repairs itself. Saffron helps the brain remain in deep sleep longer so the body can truly recover and wake up feeling clearer and more refreshed. The key thing to remember is this: saffron doesn't treat disease and it doesn't replace medication. It does something more foundational. It helps the brain receive the signal that it's safe to rest. And when that signal is restored, sleep stops being a struggle and becomes something the body naturally returns to. How to use saffron effectively, safe, and age-appropriate for the body. There's one thing we need to be very clear about. Saffron is not a sleeping pill, and it's not something where more is better. Saffron works best when it's used at the right time, in the right amount, and within a healthy evening routine. First, let's talk about timing. Saffron is best taken in the evening about an hour before bedtime. Not to make you sleepy right away, but to gently let the brain know that the day is winding down. When this signal shows up consistently, the brain can slowly reset its natural resting rhythm. Next is dosage. With saffron, a very small amount is enough. Just a few strands soaked in warm water or a light amount mixed into warm milk works well. Taking a high dose won't help you sleep deeper and may actually cause the body to react the opposite way. At this stage of life, less but consistent is always better than more and irregular. Safety is also important, especially if you're taking prescription medications. If you're on long-term treatments for heart conditions, blood pressure, diabetes, depression, or any other ongoing therapy, it's best to talk with your doctor or a trusted healthcare professional before using saffron regularly. Not because saffron is dangerous, but because every body has its own rhythm and safety should always come first. Saffron also works much better when it's paired with a calm evening routine. A lighter dinner eaten a bit earlier helps digestion settle down. Soft lighting and a quiet environment before bed help the brain lower its guard. When all these signals point toward rest, saffron simply supports what the body is already trying to do. During the day, gentle movement matters too. Walking, stretching, or spending some time outdoors helps the body use energy in a healthy way. When the body has moved well during the day, it's much easier to shift into recovery mode at night. And finally, this is the most important thing to remember. Saffron doesn't force the body to sleep. It helps restore the natural conversation between the brain hormones and the nervous system. When that communication comes back, sleep arrives gently, more deeply, and more sustainably in a way that truly fits our body and our health as we age. The most important thing we want to leave you with at the end of this video is not a promise like, just take this and you'll sleep. Sleep doesn't work that way, especially after we've lived through many years of life. Saffron doesn't cure insomnia. It doesn't force the body to shut down. What it does is restore a conversation that's been interrupted between the brain and the body, a conversation that used to be clear, but has slowly faded over time. When the brain starts to feel safe again, when the body is no longer stuck in nighttime alert mode, sleep naturally finds its way back. No forcing, no fighting, no anxiety when you wake up in the middle of the night. We stop chasing sleep. Instead, we create the conditions for it to happen. And that shift alone is what allows peaceful nights to return gently and sustainably. Tonight, you don't need to change everything. You don't need to try harder. You don't need to put more pressure on sleep. Just one small choice aligned with your body's natural biology. When we understand what our body truly needs, sleep comes back more naturally, more deeply, and more steadily over time. If this video helped you see sleep in a new way, please like and subscribe to Strong Health Way to continue this journey toward healthier living together. And if you've ever woken up in the middle of the night, share your experience in the comments below. You are not alone.